Well, thank you so much for doing
Yeah.
this today, Bill, and of course, pulling off the deal, which we want to get to about Matthias Maccelli. But just give us a sense of Utah. Obviously, coming over from Arizona a couple of years back, what's that process been like for you?
Been incredible. We lucked out and got one of the best owners in sports with Ryan Smith. What he's done there in a short period of time in Utah, renovated. He's renovating as we speak. I think it's an $800 million project in the Delta Center, redoing the lower bowl and both ends on it. It's going to be incredible when it's done. Just built a state-of-the-art practice facility. It's going to be the best in the NHL. He's sunk a lot of money, a lot of time and energy, and got it done quick. It's going to help us become an elite franchise just by where we play in the great state of Utah with low taxes and 300 days of sun. I can sell all day long, boys. So
I
You
love
sound
it.
like you like where you're at. Everything you're saying sounds pretty attractive. If I was still playing, I'd be all ears. But from the GM point of view, this point in the season,
yeah.
what's going on? Obviously, you want to take some time like yourself to do some charity stuff, do some personal stuff, maybe spend some time with the family. But is the phone still ringing? Is it still active out there? What happens in the day in the life of yourself?
He's pretty busy. It's not like people would think that you're at the cottage in the Muskokas somewhere with your feet up on the dock and when your dog's sitting beside you, the phone's ringing. You're hiring people. Staffs nowadays are huge in the National Hockey League, so you're rehiring. You're constantly having strategy to make sure you get the best staff known to mankind around you, and people are leaving and coming, and the world of the NHL analytics are getting fine tuned. Everything's getting better. So it's you better be vested in the summer to get better as an organization, and that doesn't the NHL doesn't sleep. It's 24/7, and I always say to our players when you leave, I'm like, success in the NHL is rented, and rents due every day in the NHL.
Really feels that way. And as mentioned, back on June 30th, you deal Matthias Maccelli to the Leafs. How did that deal come
Yes.
about with the Maple Leafs?
Well, I always say this as an organization, when you have a player that does well and he doesn't do well, 50% of that is on the team and 50% of that is on the player. And, our team got a lot better. And, people think that it's outside competition sometimes. Sometimes it's internal. And with our group getting better every year and Logan Cooling getting a year older and eating up more ice and Gunther is a year older eating up more ice, Barrett Hayden's improving. All these guys are going at it and Matthias just got off to a tough start with us. He's a really skilled hockey player. He's got great vision. He's a wizard with his vision. He's a great human being, by the way. And he just got off to a tough start. And there was guys in our team that just took away some of his ice, and it never really got going for him. And that sometimes happens to players. Sometimes you're on your third team before you figure it out. But number one, he's going to be a great ad for the Leafs. He's a great kid. It's a good deal for us. If he gets over, I want to say 45 points, it turns into a second rounder for us. So we're kind of protected on that side. And if he doesn't, then the Leafs just paid a third rounder and they've got a chance. But if he hits for the Leafs, he can do wonders, and he's a great kid. And we wish him the best. He really is a good person.
Yeah, I'm curious how that deal came together. If you don't mind sharing, was that kind of driven by you guys trying to give him another opportunity, or was he kind of knocking on the door saying, "Hey, I need a change of scenery"? How'd that come together?
I've always viewed, being a GM with your players as a partnership. I've always had pretty good relationships with the players, and when there's not a fit for us in our club, we're going to do what's best for our club. But at the same time, if we can help the player out and move him to a good place for him too, and that's what happened in this particular deal. It's a good deal for Utah. It's a great deal for the Leafs, and it's going to be good for the player. He's going to go in and he's going to play around some high end skilled players, and it's going to benefit the Leafs and it's going to benefit him.
Take us through the evaluation process. Like, I think this is a really intriguing part of the job as a GM. Like a player like Machelli a couple years back, you talked about it last year. Maybe didn't have the season he would have liked to, or you guys would have liked. But I mean, the inconsistency is part of a young player's game. Take us through sort of the evaluation process of how you decide, like, let's trade for a player, let's trade somebody, and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's there's the seasons of the player, and they go from not making any money to a lot of money, and it messes with them. Sometimes they go through having children, and it changes them. Sometimes they're playing on a contract on a 1 year deal, and it freaks them out and they don't play well. There's the seasons of the player that they go through, and sometimes you come in and you're rocking as a young player and you're ripping apart the league, and then the next year it's work. So there's a lot of different seasons of the player. And, as a GM, you have to be very patient at times with players. But when you see the fit's not there, or you're able to add JJ Baturka to your group, the big trade, times change, and our team has changed, and we're trying to make another step. We're trying to become a playoff team. So it's heightened on our team, and we added a goal scorer. So we've got Boot coming in also from the KHL. He's going to push our top two lines. So it's very highly competitive in Utah right now. It's probably the most competitive team we've seen in the last 5 years that we're going to put on the ice. And there's a lot of internal competition, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. What for our listeners, what can they expect from Machelli? What kind of player is he? What does he bring to the table?
He's a high-end playmaker. That's what he is. He's an opportunist. He creates a lot of odd man rushes. You're gonna love. He's got some sweet playmaking, and he's getting a lot of no-look stuff going on. And when he's on, he can light it up. He's certainly a dynamic player at times. I think he'll have to find his synergy with the players around him, but I think he'll do that. I think he'll be a good fit for Toronto.
And so I'm always curious again about the process. So like, does Machelli reach out to you and say, I'd like a change of scenery? If a player like that's available, like, do you put out a league-wide email? Do guys just like hear through word of mouth that he's available? Like, how does it work?
Well, it in this world we live in the GM side of it, as soon as some particular player on your team has points the year before and then doesn't play well, everybody's asking about why and how, and the GMs are on the call, and it's a pretty there's some GMs you have really good relationships with too, and they have the same thing going on in their organization, and so you're constantly looking for that player that he might need three teams to figure it out, or he might need two teams and he's a really good player, and that's when those conversations come up. And I think there's a lot of different opportunities if you're on the phone and you're working with GMs. So you always try and stay in touch with them as much as you can.
Hmm. We were talking before you got on that you're a local product here in Toronto. Just curious, when you were coming up, what era did you pay attention to? Who were some of the favorite players that you had for the Leaf, or were you a Leaf fan at
Great
all?
question. Yeah, I was. So the Daryl Tittlers of the world, the Borje Salvings of the world, they were all special players. The Rick Vives, growing up. And I had a special opportunity as a Richmond Hill kid. I got drafted to the Marlies in the OHL, and we played out at Maple Leaf Gardens. And I was fascinated by that building. So I could go every day and watch the Leafs practice. And Wendell Clark was coming in at that time. And it was just incredible. And I'd go watch practice. I could just sit up there and watch practice. John Brophy was there, Kordic came in. There was all this controversy around the team. And the best part, I'd watch pregame escapes of all the other teams. So for me, it was like, and just practicing in Maple Leaf Gardens was like, I used to go to the blue line every day and walk across the blue line and pretend I was in the Memorial Cup with double overtime and throw it at the net, pretend I scored. I do that every day at Maple Leaf Gardens. So it was just a special place. And then at night, we would go to the games. The ushers would help us, like squeeze through the line. So we sat in the blues every game, and as a kid growing up, I can't tell you the experience it was, but it was amazing. It formed who I was, and I got to watch hockey. So it was awesome.
Oh, that's incredible. I just wish one day Scotiabank Arena gets back to the activity, the loudness, the level of intensity that it was back at Maple Leaf
Yeah.
Gardens back in the day. The last one before we let you go, one of my favorite pastimes the last couple of years has been your organization watching them at the draft in person. This year, a bit different. I was in Los Angeles. Did you vote in favor of decentralizing the draft or keeping it that way? Can you disclose that and maybe the thought process behind all that?
I can't really disclose it. Some of that stuff's at a higher pay grade than mine, so I tend to want to stay out of that.
Fair. No
I
worries.
think, listen, either way, I just want the best for the game. Whatever gets the most attention on that day to promote the NHL in the most positive light. I've been fortunate. I'm 55 right now. I had a contract since I've been 19 years old in the National Hockey League, and I've been very privileged to work in this league, and be raised by hockey in a lot of ways, and had some special people from the Rick Kornackis of the world in Oshawa, and be around the Lindroses. And I've had a great life coming out of Richmond Hill. And it's just, I love hockey, and I hope that whatever way they do it, as long as it promotes the game and it really helps the kids. Like, I always want the kids that get drafted on that day to feel special. That's their moment. They earn that day. And so hopefully it continues for them. And whatever the league chooses and promotes it the best way, it grows the game. I'm all for that.
Suit game strong, always, Bill. Appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great summer, okay?
All right. Thank you, boys. Thank you for having me on. Much appreciated.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.